In a single day, 6 students collapsed during classes at this school in eastern India.
अभी जो गर्मी का प्रकोप है जिसका टेम्परेचर अभी बहुत हाई लेवल में जा रहा है, इसके चलते बच्चे लोग को परेशानी हो रही है। ये इलेक्ट्रोलाइट इम्बैलेंस हो रहा है, उसके चलते ये लोगों बच्चे को बेहोशी का, चक्कर आना, उल्टी होना, ये सब लक्षण दिखाई दे रहा है।
Days later, dozens of poll workers died from heat-related illnesses during India's general elections.
हम लोग को सूचना मिला कि सीमेंट प्लांट के पास में इलेक्शन ड्यूटी में जा रहे थे और वहाँ गिर गए।
India is among many countries around the world, increasingly slammed with heat wave after heat wave. In 2024, some countries have been reporting record-breaking temperatures like these. So we want to know, how does extreme heat affect the human body?
特别严重啊！就是我从大记事就没大，就是我从我小时候记事时候，那是60几年，那个干旱从大那没说是跟今年什么旱，那个都下过雨，春天的都下过1次2次的雨，这今年就是1次没下。
Heat waves have become harsher and deadlier with each passing year. What does that mean for us?
The body will react to a very hot environment first by dilating the blood vessels on the skin, so that more blood will be diverted from the core area to the body surface in order to lose heat. And secondly, the sweating mechanism will be activated.
In extreme temperatures, the body loses the ability to cool itself down.
The most effective way of losing heat is by evaporation through the sweat on the body surface. And at the same time, if the humidity is very high, evaporation through sweating is also impaired. That will predispose the patient to heat-related injury.
There are 2 main heat-related diseases, heat exhaustion and heat strokes.
Heat exhaustion is more commonly seen and is relatively minor illness. During heat exhaustion, the body will lose excessive sweat, which leads to dehydration and also loss of electrolytes inside the body. But in case of heat stroke, the body temperature will rise, usually higher than 40 degrees Celsius, together with an impaired conscious state.
If stricken with either, the body requires immediate cooling with ice packs or cold fluids.
If the body temperature is not brought down immediately, the body cannot tolerate such a high temperature, so that there are many dysfunction of the organs can occur, including liver failure, kidney failure, muscle damage. The blood clotting mechanism will also be impaired.
Staying ventilated and hydrated are the best ways to combat any heat-related symptoms. But in much of the world, proper housing and water are not easily accessible. Take this Rohingya refugee camp in Bangladesh. Internally displaced people in Myanmar face water shortages under the scorching sun. Children exposed to the heat are often more vulnerable than adults. The UN Children's Fund warned in 2024 that more than 243 million children are at risk of heat-related disease or death across East Asia and the Pacific. In Cambodia, students have been warned several times to stay home. Other vulnerable classes include day laborers with jobs in construction, agriculture, or food services.
गर्मी इन्नी है जी मिस्त्री मजदूर काम ते लगे हैं ते गर्मी इन्नी है कि 10 मिनट काम करीदा ते काम होए नहीं जाता आके साए थले बैठ जाने आ ते की करिए करना पैंदा है छोटे छोटे बच्चों का पेट पालना है अपना पालना है उत्तों महंगाई है जे करिए ना ते खांगे कित्थों बच्चे कित्थों खाणगे.
Heat waves also have environmental impacts that threaten supplies of the food we eat. Thousands of hectares of crops have already withered in 2024 in places like Cambodia.
ម្រេចខ្ញុំនេះមាន264គុំវាដាច់ទឹកបាទដាច់ទឹកគ្រូដាច់ទឹកបានវាងាប់វាអត់មានទឹកប្រយវាដល់អញ្ចឹងវាត្រូវដាច់ខ្យល់ទឹកខូចអស់
Reservoirs used for fishing in Vietnam are now filled with dead stock.
In the end, it leads to food price rise and it leads to inflation. So that kind of ripple effect is very, very difficult to curb.
Something needs to be done, and quickly, according to climate researchers.
2023 was the hottest year on record, and not only that, it was also hottest by the largest margin, which means that the scale and the frequency and the severity, when everything changes, then you can establish very clearly that it's human intervention. It's a lot more activities that we are doing these days which are causing emissions, whether they are vehicles or it is built environment or industries.
Reversing the warming trend will require drastic changes, led by governments everywhere.
It's going to need some extreme kind of measures to reduce emissions and to adapt ourselves to the changing temperature. If that is not happening, then definitely in the future we will receive quite severe heat waves if we don't really reverse our pattern of consumption, how we produce energy, how we consume energy, how we function in our buildings, how we use our vehicles, how we use fuels.
UN experts say current efforts by most governments fall short of what is necessary for the world to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050.